Welcome to the Stay Grounded podcast, brought to you by Javapresse Coffee Company. My name is Raj Jana, and I'm the Chief Brewing Officer here at Javapresse, where we help people make daily happiness a priority using the coffee we love. I interview people from all walks of life to discuss happiness, success, fulfillment, and ways to infuse it all into daily life. I want to dissect different thought processes and turn them into powerful insights that empower you to stay grounded and make daily happiness and fulfillment a reality. So thanks for joining me today. Now, let's get to grinding. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 20 of the Stay Grounded podcast. Man, I'm so excited. We're finally 20 episodes in. Feels like we just started literally yesterday. It's been so much fun learning from all these people, and I'm so excited to be sharing today's guest, Mr. Carey Smolensky. Carey is an incredible guy, actually. He's a multifaceted man, a dynamic businessman, an entrepreneur. He lives in Chicago, and he's the author of the book, Living Life with Passion and Helping Others. He's done just about everything. He's been in the entertainment business. He's an entrepreneur born out of Chicago. He's had multiple businesses become successful, and he's scaled so much stuff. And now he's really focused on helping people live their passion and live life passionately, and doing it through teaching or books or the summit that he has coming up. He's got a passion summit coming up, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the episode. But really, I was just so impressed with Carey and his dedication to excellence and how he infuses passion into his day-to-day life and how he inspires others to do so too. And so super excited to share this episode. And but before we get started, don't forget, leave a rating, leave a review, subscribe so that more people can learn about the show and we can continue sharing this greatness with everybody and really creating lives and legacies we love in our own lives. So yeah, if you haven't done that already, go do it right now. And then without further ado, let's get started. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Well, I'm super excited for this, Carey. I've been a fan of yours for a while now, and you're working on so much amazing stuff. So this is a pleasure for you to be here and for me to be having this conversation.
Looking forward to it. Pleasure to meet your audience.
Absolutely. So I'd love to start off by just you talking about your background, sort of how you got to where you are right now, and we'll take it from there on what you're working on and practical tips that we can give our audience for how to live passionate lives.
Sounds great. So I grew up in a suburb of Chicago and been here pretty much all my life. And I had a unique opportunity in high school. We had a radio station, and that's kind of one of the things I gravitated to along with wrestling and swimming. And the reason for that is I was always into not relying on a team to succeed. And early on, even sports, it was a very individual effort on my part. And with the radio station, I had my own radio show. And then eventually I did bring on a team, and I was involved in the team aspect. But in competition, in perseverance, it's always been me focusing on what can I do? How can I push myself physically, mentally, emotionally? And the cool thing that transpired from that is in high school, I started my first company, which was a disc jockey entertainment company.
Nice.
And that's still one of our brands. That's still a brand that we still do locally and nationally. And then over the years, I did that through high school and college just to make extra money on the side. And for some reason, I thought I wanted to go into dentistry. I'm not sure exactly why, but
I think we all have inklings like
that. But my timing is everything. And I was in dental school for my first year, and the ADA came out with the statement that AIDS was out, and you could get AIDS through even if you had gloves, face masks, and goggles, and there were these things called smile centers popping up all over from Sears, and that was like a generic form of dentistry. And I'm looking at my business that was growing but couldn't grow because I was in dental school, and I was looking at the future of what I wanted to do, and I wasn't passionate about it. So I went back to undergrad and finished my degree because I got into dental school doing well on my DAT scores. Without graduating, I got in as a third-year student. So went back, got my degree, and never looked back. I went to my business full-time, when what started as a DJ entertainment company expanded into another division as a event production company. And over the years, that's expanded into everything from promotional products to a speakers bureau called the Experts Bureau and a video division and just on and on. Really a one-stop source for corporate and social events.
Nice.
Whether they're global conferences or private parties. And that's really what got me into that niche. And the production company is about 30 some years old. And the last 25 of those years, I've really been in a market of MLMs, the multi-level marketing companies, in the inspirational, motivational, edutainment space, and doing events for Tony Robbins Platinum Partners and motivational speakers. And 2 years ago is when I wrote my book, Living Life with Passion and Helping Others.
Love it.
And the cool thing for me is I've always been chasing things, and I think a lot of people out there can resonate with that, because you always want to try something and you feel if you don't try it, you're missing out. And I was doing a lot of different things, not just expanding my business a number of ways, but extreme sports and just myself in lots of different ways. And I was doing a conference in California, and actually we talked before this about Hal Elrod. It was actually one of Hal's conferences I was producing. Nice. And at that event, I really, it just clicked for me. I networked with a certain group of people that really made an impact, and a lot of things became clear. And I got on my plane coming back from San Diego to Chicago, and I just started writing. And before I did anything else, I put a tagline under my signature line in my emails, forthcoming author of the book, Living Life with Passion and Helping Others. So it was out there. I was accountable. It had to be done. And really that labor of a year of just focusing on that book and coming out with it was a way for me to share experiences, talents, knowledge with the world. In that sense, I've met people that are doing things that are doing massive change for people in less fortunate communities. So now it's 2 years later, and we're moving towards something called the Passion Summit, which is really the visualization of that book, in addition to bringing in other world-class speakers like Hal and others. And I'm excited about the journey. And when things become obstacles, or when you're faced with challenges, as I like to call them. I don't like to use the word problems, because challenges has a solution. But when I'm faced with challenges, it pushes me to figure out the best way to navigate that and to make it work. And that's something I think a lot of people are always there's a fear of failure. And whatever that fear is to fail at, unless you fail, you're not going to succeed. And failure to me is a way of learning what not to do again. If you're trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results, that's insanity. But, it's just a matter of your focus, your perspective, and your perseverance.
Right. And I love that. And one thing I love about your story is that you came out of school and it seemingly have just built a brand. You just kept building brands, doing new things with the same type of fervor. Do you feel like it's always been you kind of doing what you just did, sort of visualizing it, putting it out of the universe, and then working towards it? Has that been a consistent practice for you, or has that been something that sort of came later on as you became wiser through failures?
I think it was a learning experience. And I think that the evolution of me always wanting to reinvent myself is part of the reason that one of my brands, Mobile Music, is still 40 years later, booked 3 years in advance. So we have amazing DJs, MCs, dancers, and talent. I created another brand about 13 years ago just because I wanted something different. I was looking for, how do we get to the next level? So that next level became Storm Interactive Entertainment. And we layered on top of everything Mobile Music did, circ performers, live musicians, beatboxers, rappers, on and on, vocalists. So the evolution of anything I'm putting my name on or anything I'm involved in is really something that I want to be proud of and not stagnant, and it has to keep evolving. And that's really the trend, even in our production. You know, we've made a significant decision about 2 years ago to really focus on the clients that appreciate us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That made a huge difference as well. And then, instead of getting into the war of the race to the bottom and being the cheapest and getting the business, but what value is that? We've really set ourselves in a niche that even our production company, we're not just a production company, we're a one-stop source. And for our clients, we understand their culture, we keep consistency in their culture and in the way that we produce the event, in the way that we motivate the attendees, in the way that it looks. And it's all congruent with their brand, whether they're doing one event a year or 25 events a year. And that's the cool part. Because if you're a speaker on stage, you know what you need. And both on stage and behind the scenes,
right.
We want to support the speakers on stage however possible. And that's always being in tune. It's always anticipating. And when something happens that you don't expect, knowing how to deal with it in a seamless way where, the issue's solved, no one knows the difference, and you've done it in a professional manner.
Carey, I'm curious. You have this dedication to wanting to evolve. You said that a couple times, and I read that in your bio as well. Just this dedication to evolving. How do you nurture that on a daily basis? Are there rituals that you practice to be in line with this concept of evolution for personal self and business, or how does that sort of show up for you?
I think it's a combination of a number of practices. Number one, I really believe that life is way too short, and half the people think they're too young to do something, half people think they're too old. A lot of people will end up not doing the things that they wanted to do, and then at the end of the days, there's regret. And that's something I don't want to have. I don't want to regret having tried something. And you never regret those things you've tried. Whether you've succeeded or failed, you never regret it,
right.
But you regret the things you haven't tried. And I think it's a combination of constantly expanding my circle of influence, constantly reevaluating any negative influences and addressing those and not having those as part of my world, in that sense. And really just to be conscious of having intent to always strive for greatness. And you can strive for perfection. That doesn't mean you're going to achieve it. The human condition is not perfect, just like we're not made to multitask, but we do it.
Right.
But that's not saying a lot. That's just how technology is directing us right now.
Right.
But I think it's being aware of your brand. Everyone has a brand, and mine is really, if I were to call it a brand, it would be produced with passion. And whether that's speaking, whether that's events, whether it's entertaining, whether it's putting on a conference, whether it's supporting other people, or whether it's even spending time with loved ones, family, friends, you want to be intentional about it, and you want to be all in. And whatever you're doing, you want to be present 100%, and that's a big part of it.
That's awesome. And what I took away from that was that you have this personal brand that you've created for yourself that's beyond anything you've done in business. It shows up in business and it shows up in the events you produce, but this is your personal brand. How do you, for people who, and I think that's an amazing concept just for about anybody. It doesn't matter if you're somebody who's out there doing huge things in the world, or if you're living a life of passion. How do you create your own personal brand? Like, how do you find that thing that makes you tick and you just commit to it every day at a level where it shows up in every part of your life?
Well, when I started writing my book on the plane, what I realized is it wasn't that I was missing anything in my life, that I was chasing all these things and wanting to do all these things. It was that I was really passionate about experiencing life. So it was almost an aha moment. Like, what am I looking after? No, I'm looking after experiences. Just because you put in your 10,000 hours in something and become an expert does that mean that's all you can do? So I believe, and I've put my 10,000 hours in on a number of things, and it's a matter of what hat you're wearing. And again, jumping back to the multitasking, you don't want to wear many hats at the same time, but when you're wearing one hat and you're focused on a particular task or persona or whatever your brand is or whatever you're doing, if you're doing that full out, then you're going to be the best version of yourself in that sense. And as long as the different brands that I have are very synergistic and they complement each other, then it makes sense. If all of a sudden I choose to do something, out of left field, then it's not congruent. It won't make sense. So that's a big part of it too. And it's really that self-realization. It's not just coming up with something. It's really believing it. And for all these years, that's how I've lived my life. It was just a matter of kind of identifying it and understanding, okay, we started with a job, then you go to a career, and then you have your calling. And with me, at least, pursuing passion and living life with passion, helping others is really what I would consider my calling.
I love that. And that makes me feel really good just to hear it. Because I think living with passion is one of the most important things we can do, not only for the people around us, but for ourselves. So the people around you, tell me about your network of influence. Like, do you have mentors? How do you keep yourself accountable to this standard that you've set for yourself with the personal goals you keep and kind of where you are in your life?
I tend to have a huge to-do list, which keeps adding. And by the way, everyone has that. The difference is trying not to obsess about it. Because when we die, we're always going to have a to-do list, and somehow life is going to continue without us. So you don't want to you don't want to have too big of a head around that. But I think that my to-do list is more about all the things I want to do or accomplish. And even if it's a process of writing it down, it may not even happen, but these are ideas. And I do surround myself with people that really have a positive outlook on life, and I'm fortunate to have a large amount of my friends in the motivational community, inspirational community. People like John Vroman, people like Hal Elrod, people like Berghoff, even people that don't speak. There's someone who's been a friend of mine for years, John Kane, who works with one of my clients. One of my longest lasting clients for almost 29 years now is a huge influence. And there's people that you come across in your life that, with me, if I'm going to have a relationship, whether it's a working relationship or a personal relationship, I don't separate those. If I'm working with someone, there's a friendship there too, because you want to be friends. You have to enjoy who you're working with.
Right.
And especially in the motivational, inspirational space, there's people that are always at that level or trying to be at that level. And if you are with those people, as opposed to people that are always negative or people that will shoot down an idea as soon as you bring it up,
right,
that's not really helping with your own growth. And my wife is extremely supportive of everything I do, and she's one of the strongest women that I know. And it's who you surround yourself with, who you set an example for, your children, how they perceive you. It's just a matter of your focus of planning weekly, daily, knowing that. And one of my issues for a long time was, I would plan my week or my day, and then there would be an open spot, and I would quickly look to fill it. And over the years, I've realized, well, you should fill those open spots in advance with time for yourself. Ooh. Because I was so used to doing things for others or saying yes if someone needed something that, your day goes by, your week goes by, and you never made time for those workouts. You never made time for you or your significant other or anything else. So I think a big part of that growth was learning how to say no as well.
Oh my gosh, that's such an important message. And I think something that a lot of people, including myself in the audience, need to be reminded of more.
It's By the way, let me touch on that for a second. It's not easy because you always want to help people. And I would say that there's some people out there who use your help as a crutch. And they really don't need it, but it's easier if you did it than they did it. So one suggestion I can give is if someone asks you for something, to do something, to help with something, ask them to send you an email about it. Ask them to send it and put the information that they need in the email. Because a lot of times it's very easy for people to say something and they may have something, a task, and now they tell it to you and it's off their plate. Well, you didn't write it down. You're thinking of 1,000 things and maybe you don't remember that right away. So just by the task of asking them to email you or send you some information about what they need, half the people right off the bat are not going to send you that email.
I love that. That's so smart. And you're right. They won't, because once it's off their mind, it's out of sight, out of mind. That's awesome. And I want to touch on something you brought up, which is something that I personally try to live, is making time for yourself. What are some of those daily non-negotiables in your life that you do for yourself to keep yourself going and positive and upbeat and living passionately?
Well, I think a combination of just your own downtime. And for some people, it might be meditation, it might be yoga, it might be stretching. Others, it's working out, it's walking, it's running, it's whatever it is. But I think whatever resonates for each person is the right thing. For me, it's interesting. I don't really have the same rituals on a daily basis, just because my schedule is pretty crazy. If I'm running a conference with my team, I could have 2 people with me. I could have 35 people with me.
Right.
We may be starting at 6 a.m. and ending at midnight. We recently did an event where we had to start setting up at 3 a.m. Wow. And I was overseeing teams, and the event went till 6 the next day. So it's difficult with the schedule of travel, and with me, I produce events, I speak, I entertain, I do a lot of different things. So I try to look at it as a weekly a schedule. So I try to work out 3 to 4 times a week minimum. I always watch, like, my routines are more about what I put into my body. Now, there's many ways of looking at it. I try to drink about 1 gallon a day. I'm about 3/4 of that.
It's hard. A gallon's pretty big.
One of the people speaking at the summit is my trainer, Alex Hayden, and who's a friend of mine as well. And the biggest thing I gained when I started working with him was to cut out dairy, which I love dairy, but I've cut it out. And also to really watch sugar content on things that you're not even putting in sugar.
Right.
So those things made a big difference. And I'm just aware of what I'm putting into my body as far as fuel. I'm aware of knowledge and information. There's, just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it's true. And just because someone says something doesn't mean that that's gospel. It's a matter of, what are you taking in mentally? What are you taking in spiritually? I try to, go to yoga once a week or so on the weekends when I'm in town. Otherwise, there's things I'll bring with me so that when I'm traveling, I either use a gym at a hotel or in the room. So I'm just aware personally about that. And, between my travel schedule and our daily schedule, as my wife runs, one of the businesses here in the promotional product side, custom specialty promotions. So we both have crazy schedules, but when we go on vacation or when we spend time alone, we're able to shut off the phones. We're able to be disconnected. We're able to be fully present. And I think that's important, even if you're just taking off 15 minutes, half an hour, or an hour, whatever it is, to just unplug and reground yourself. Focus on you.
I think that's so important. One thing I've been practicing recently is anytime I feel myself get really kind of overwhelmed is breathing. I'll take a minute and I'll just just do a quick close my eyes and breathe, and all of a sudden I feel myself feel better. But it can be something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be something grandiose, which is such an important message. I appreciate you bringing that up. I do want to talk about your summit. So you mentioned that your trainer is going to be there. What's your summit about? I imagine it's something very passionate, but I'll let you sort of explain it.
It is. It's exciting because it's the realization of my book, Living Life with Passion, Helping Others. And
cool.
As such, it's showing people how to live in a bigger way, how to be bigger things, how to dream bigger in anything that they're doing. And with that, it's everything from taking care of yourself on a physical, mental, spiritual way, on a mindfulness way. We're having tools there. There's something where people are able to be part of something called the Passion Village. Awesome. Where we have tools and products. So things that can help you in business, things that can help you with health, things that can help you in your daily life, in relationships. So we're not focusing on any one type of person. The great thing is, this is something that's targeted to millennials as well as retirees. It's targeted to CEOs and salespeople as well as housewives or stay-at-home dads. It's awesome. Really something that can benefit everybody. And the great part is, aside from having world-class speakers and amazing content, there's a lot of things that we do to engage the audience. And there's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be a lot of ways to interact and get to know each other. We're doing the events on Monday, Tuesday. It's May 7th and 8th. And Monday night, we're doing a costume networking party. So there's unique ways that we break the ice, and people are going to leave with accountability partners. They're going to leave with people that are going to support them on and on. Yeah. We're doing very unique things throughout the summit, aside from including the meals, including healthy food, including smoothies that are healthy, and making sure people are hydrated, and incorporating habits that, at least for those 2 days, people will be part of and learn to continue them, because they're going to realize they're going to really enjoy how they feel from those habits. The other thing is, we're creating a global community of like-minded people. And nice. After the event, we're going to be publishing a book that shares the top 20 or 25 passion stories of some of our attendees.
I love that.
That'll be extra value for the people there. It'll be a way to spread the word and expand the summit as well. But some of the speakers, aside from Alex, aside from myself, aside from Hal Elrod, Patricia Moreno, Mary D, John Vroman, who's the
I know Mary.
Co-founder.
Yeah, Mary's a friend. Yeah, she's great. She's got a great story.
Yeah, but these are people from all different parts of different communities. Alyssa Seeley is a gold medalist in the paraplegic triathlon. So I have people from all walks of life. I have people that resonate with different communities. So there's people that are going to come that they may only know one or two or three of those. So it's not the same thing over and over.
Yeah, I've got a question. Why do you think it's important to learn from people from all walks of life? Like, you just mentioned a whole array of people. What's the importance of that just in general for individuals who are trying to be their best selves?
I think it gives people the opportunity to decide for themselves what resonates best with them. And it's very easy to come off as a motivational speaker and try to inspire. And the bottom line is, you can lead a horse to water. It's not going to drink. Yep. And I know from personal experience, there's people in my own family, okay, that I see where they could be.
Yeah.
They're happy where they're at. Just a few changes could make a world of difference, but they're happy with where they're at. And when you even offer something that is meant from the heart, a lot of times it's taken as, I don't need anyone to tell me anything, and it's one of those things. So you really have to realize that this summit is for people who really want to be be a better version of themselves and who want to learn and expand their knowledge. It's really not for the people who already know everything.
Yeah, which seems to be a larger and larger percentage of the population these days.
Exactly.
I love that. No, that's so, it sounds like an amazing summit. And when is it?
It is May 7th and 8th, and we've created a code for your audience. The best way to find out about it is online. It's thepassionsummit.com. It's in Schaumburg, Illinois, right outside of Chicago, and really easy to get to from O'Hare Airport. The code is GROUNDED. All caps, all one word, GROUNDED, and that'll take $350 off of the ticket price, which is $997. So there's a substantial savings there. It's a 2-day event. It includes lunch both days. We have a great room rate at the hotel, which is the Hyatt, and at that hotel, I think it's $138 for the night. That includes their breakfast buffet. A lot of people are sharing rooms, and it's really a amazing opportunity because we're taking over the whole ballroom and we have a big presence in the hotel as well. They've recently remodeled it. So I'm super excited. It's a great venue for this particular event.
That sounds like an amazing event. So anybody who's interested or near the area or who's not near the area, who just wants to be around Carey and this amazing group of people he's curating, we'll include all the links on our website when this episode goes live, and please check it out. Carey's an amazing person, as you can tell, who I'm actually not done talking to yet. And
let me throw in one more thing about passion, because there's the whole second half we didn't touch on, and that's giving back. And aside from being inspired and having the great content and the resources and the networking and all those things, the second day has a big emphasis on gratitude and on giving back to others. And we're actually bringing in 3 charities for people to see if it resonates with them. One is the Front Row Foundation, where we take people, and I've been fortunate to have been a founding member for the past 13 years.
Good for you.
And it's an awesome experience. I've been lucky enough to take 3 people on experiences of their own. One has passed since, but we take people with life-threatening challenges and put them in their front row of their favorite theater, concert, sporting event. And it's really a front row experience, and it's really about a way to live your life in the front row.
I love
the family gets a chance to see their loved one that way. We have pictures and video that they can cherish, and they become part of the front row community. Another effort, which is more of a grassroots effort that we do here as part of my company, is something called A Warmer Winter. And every year in December, we bring food and clothing and hot chocolate and hugs to Chicago's homeless community. And, there was a point, I would never forget, it happened last year when there was a man who just broke down and cried because I had hugged him. And his remark was, most people are afraid of the homeless. Most people don't even consider us as human. And this is the first time in amount of years that someone's actually even touched them. So
right.
There's that issue. And then Angel Wings International is another charity we're bringing in. They've created a hospital in Haiti. And a friend of mine, Andy Janti, who lost a number of his family in the disaster in Haiti, is part of that. So there's a lot of unique things we're doing. And
I love all of this.
We want people to continue to connect, and the community is going to be invited at the summit to participate in 2 trips that are on an annual basis. One is a giving back trip, and this year it's going to be to Puerto Rico, and another is a passion trip to Havana, Cuba. So we're always looking to offer unique opportunities, present them with the people you would want to do them with, and that's a big part of it. So thepassionsummit.com, and the promo code is GROUNDED.
That's awesome. We at Javapresse, we partner with Make-A-Wish. And so I totally understand the life-threatening illnesses. We actually had one of our wish children pass a couple months ago, and that was really hard for me personally and the team. So I definitely understand the feeling. I love what you're doing at the Front Row Foundation. Let me ask you this. You mentioned that you had somebody, one of the people that you you helped pass recently. How did that experience impact you? And you mentioned gratitude as well. How does gratitude fuel into all of this? And what kind of a habit does gratitude play in your daily life?
It plays a huge part, and I'm thankful for every minute I'm alive. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the life that I have and the ability to give back and make a difference in other people's lives. I actually have, so with Front Row, we always create a book for every recipient. And in it, here's something from the ticket. We went to a Pirates Voyage in Myrtle Beach, and this was September 26, 2012. This was a very unique experience, an emotional roller coaster for me, because this boy and his family lived within an hour of where I live. And, when we went to put some of this over here so you can kind of see some of the things that we did. That was the first time over here that we call him Rockstar Mike, that he ever saw an ocean. He was very limited in travels because of his disease. And really, when he was at this event, and I'm looking down to pull something up for you here, it was really an amazing experience. So, he ended up passing shortly after, but before that, myself, my family, all had an opportunity to visit him. And the time I visited him at hospice, he had that book out on his bed, and his family and him were, remembering that. And it's just, not everyone has the opportunities that you have. And by opportunities, that may be full functionality of their body. It might be mental capacity. It might be health. Whatever the situation is, we take for granted the body that we have, the life we live. But to be able to make a difference in someone's life and see that difference in their eyes and just see them explode with excitement for something that they're passionate about, and not dwell on their disease, not dwell on their current situation. You're really elevating them out of that space. And it's just an honor to be able to do something like that.
I can feel it just in the way you're expressing this, just the joy and gratitude flowing through you. Do you have any tips for people as far as like creating more gratitude and appreciation in their life? Because I know it gets really hard, especially when things are tough, to look back. And I think that's when it's most important to be grateful, when things are hard in your life. So do you have any advice for people who might find it hard to be grateful, or might find it hard to appreciate when things around them are all falling apart?
I think that when things are falling apart, and let me back up, you want to be in a state so that ideally you can stop things before they start falling apart.
Right.
So it's a mindset of, it's almost like a ninja-like skill that when things are coming at you, you're able to deflect, you're able to keep your focus, because there's always going to be negative influences. There's always going to be bad decisions. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest part is understanding that when you are making a decision and when you're doing anything that requires a cognitive space, that you do it in a cognitive state of mind as opposed to an emotional state of mind. And I talk about that in my book, and I use an example called the 5-minute rule. And when you are presented with something that is negative, now this could be you just got rear-ended by another car and now you're late, and luckily everyone's okay, but you're upset. When you step out of the car, are you yelling at the other person? Are you prolonging that frame of mind? Or are you in a situation where you realize this just happened, I can't change it, so the more I dwell on it, the more it's a waste of my time and my mental capacity.
Right.
You really have to move forward and be free of those emotions. So I think that appreciation goes two ways. When you're outside, you should be able to appreciate a sunrise or a sunset or the beauty of life. And when you notice something, just stop and take pause. And I'm running on a few tangents here, so stay with me.
No, of course.
Because mindfulness, when you are meditating, it's look, feel, hear, and you can do that in your daily routines, and you can do that when you're walking down the street, and you can be very aware of the things you see, the things you're feeling, whether it's the ground that you're walking on, whether it's the wind at your face, whether it's the sounds you're hearing, birds, animals, cars, anything. It's just a matter of appreciating what's around you. And a lot of times I can give you an example. You might be at a restaurant, and until someone tells you, yeah, isn't that an amazing song? And then all of a sudden you listen and you hear the song, but you didn't hear it before, not because it wasn't there, but because your focus was on your conversation or on something else. So everyone has the ability to focus on whatever they're intentional about. So I think a big part of it is first to be aware of your surroundings. Then jumping back into the 5-minute rule, when something terrible happens or something negative happens, it's on you to decide how to deal with it. And there's people that will say, you know what, this just put me in a bad mood for the rest of my day, or I can't believe so-and-so didn't get into that school, and now I'm upset. I mean, these are
there's a million of them.
First world problems here, okay? You have the choice, if someone flips you off, to take it personally and harbor that and tell everyone you meet for the next day or 2 days or a week, or you could let it brush off because that person really doesn't know who you are, and you don't know what that person was going through today, and you don't know what their story is.
Right.
So I think people are very quick to judge other people, and if you put that all in perspective, then anything that comes your way that needs a decision, whether it's an investment, you really need to take time and evaluate that. And again, learn to say no on certain things. But I think it's practice of all of these things that can make you very successful at navigating your way through the things that are presented to you, through the world that you're living in. And with that, being able to find happiness in your days and being able to be grateful for the things that you experience, and whether that's food, whether that's sustenance, whether it's exercise, it's all, you're in control of the way that you feel. No one can take that away from you unless it's you.
I love that. You mentioned the word judge. I think as much as we judge others, we also judge ourselves quite a bit, especially as we go through our days. How do you navigate that part of it? When you notice yourself judging yourself for you didn't work hard enough, or you didn't do enough, and it's always about how much you didn't do, how do you bring yourself back into that state of gratitude?
Well, I'm pretty hard on myself, and I know there's times that I'll sleep less and just do what I need to do.
Yep.
So part of that is also having the right team behind you. And that's sometimes easier said than done. Mm-hmm. I have a great team on my production side and my business side and entertainment side where, we can do multiple events all over the world at the same time. And I know there's people in charge doing the right thing, and I'm always available to them. With the Passion Summit, I have a great team of people behind me and with me and helping promote and amazing people on stage. It's who you surround yourself with. So I think the question you asked earlier about mentors, and I mentioned I'm fortunate to have people in my life that I could look at as mentors without having to quote unquote hire a mentor, because I'm surrounded by these people, and that's a fortunate thing that I'm aware of. But I think it just depends on each person and their own perspective on things.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you're working, you seem like somebody who has so much going on in your life. How do you, in the midst of all this, how do you stay grounded every single day?
I try to decompress usually at night and unplug and just focus on family time or whatever it is that we're doing. And whether I'm working out, I'm fully focused when I'm working out on that. I'm not multitasking in thinking about my to-do list or anything else, but I'm very intentional on a weekly and daily basis about my to-do list. And although we all have one, it's always growing. I try to not put more than 6 items as a major task for every day. And that may not sound like a lot, but when I first started doing that, I'm like, come on, I do 20, 30 things easily every day. Well, no, I'm talking about something that you're really focused on. And when you're intentional about it and you're not multitasking and you're not, and multitasking, I'm going to jump to that for a second, because a lot of people think they're being productive when they're going through emails or they're on a phone and they're also on the email. You know when you're talking to someone on the phone if they're doing something else. They're not fully engaged. So you really have to focus on where do you want to spend your time? You want to spend your time with people that are fully engaged with you? Or are you going through the motions, not engaged with them, and they're not engaged with you, and you're all just wasting time? So I think a lot of what I've been doing recently has been reaching out more and connecting more with my inner circle, people that are coming into my inner circle, and really relationships, because everything is relationship based. And that's a huge part. So if it's not me judging myself, my wife will put me in perspective, because we're very good in that sense. I mean, she's much more grounded and in the present realist term of that. And I'm always creating and figuring it out and on to the next thing. So, it's who you surround yourself with.
I think that's such a beautiful way to wrap up this conversation. I think that ultimately living a life of passion, at least from what I've learned from you on this call, living a life of passion is a combination of living by your own brand, surround yourself with people that inspire you to be your best, and working on things that light you up. And it sounds like you're doing just about every single one of those things, Carey.
I'm trying. And I think for your audience, something you could think about is everyone wants to get to the next level, but there's something about delayed gratification that is extremely important, because then when you really deserve it and you've earned it, you can really celebrate. And a lot of times you need to do what you need to do until you can choose to do what you want to do. If you think about that, it's doing what you need to do until you have the luxury of choosing to do what you want to do. But you have to put in your dues. You have to put in the work. You have to do whatever it takes to get to that next level, and you can do it.
I love that. Hell yeah, you got me pumped. I'm going to go knock some push-ups up after this, Carey. Again, I just wanted to thank you so much, Carey, for your time, your passion, and your energy. It's contagious. For everybody, as we mentioned earlier in the episode, we'll have all the information for the Passion Summit, and as well as Carey's very generous gift of the code to get $350 off the summit. So we'll definitely share more information on that. But in the meantime, everybody, hope you have a wonderful week. Don't forget to stay grounded. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thank you, Raj. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carey. Thanks for joining us today on this episode of the Stay Grounded podcast, brought to you by Javapresse Coffee Company. My name is Raj, and I hope you found this interview helpful as you create your own ways to make daily happiness a priority. If you're interested in learning more about how your morning coffee can turn into a consistent source of joy in your life, visit www.javapresse.com to learn how our products can help you do that, and use the coupon code PODCAST for 10% off your purchase. Again, thanks so much for joining us. Stay grounded.